This is Two Way Tonight, where our audience is divided into two groups: those who will get my Ed Grimley references, and those, like our guest tonight, Ethan Strauss, who will not. Thank you for joining. I may break out my Grimley imitation, don't you know, at some point during the program. We have a big story tonight, has been true all week, the Epstein matter, and the president again is saying things that cannot be interpreted in a linear way, going more aggressively at his supporters than he did even yesterday. We'll tell you about that. Also, a little bit of a controversy about the president and the chair of the Fed. We'll talk about that. And then the Obamas, incredible piece of video. If you haven't seen yet, you'll want to see. Obama's talking about their marriage on Mrs. Obama's podcast in a way that made some people uncomfortable. And probably most important, Kevin, put up number 20, please. For a certain category of you, this has got to be the lead. So I want to get to it right away, which is the president has, I don't know why the president was announcing this, but the president put on Truth Social, I've been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar and Coke in the United States, and they've agreed to do so. I'd like to thank all of those in authority at Coca-Cola. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see it's just better. Mexican Coke, does that use real cane sugar? I think so.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. So if you've ever had a Mexican Coke, it's better. It just is. So this is a pretty exciting development for America, and you have Donald John Trump to thank for that, maybe. As always, we want your participation. If you're here on the two-way platform, please raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question about the Fed, or, I used to have a joke I would do when I gave my speeches. I'd say to the audience, I'd say in the beginning, start my speech with 8 jokes, they all killed. This one's a little out of date. I'd say when we get to the Q&A, you can ask about whatever you want. As far as I'm concerned, nothing off limits. You can ask about the details of the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, or what I know about the marriage of Bill and Hillary Clinton, whichever interests you more. Always would get a big laugh. So tonight you can ask about Jeffrey Epstein, or you can ask about the details of the president's position on the Fed chair, whichever interests you more. Or you can ask about the Obamas. And there's a few other things. We heard from the vice president today. Weird thing going on with NPR, but clearly nothing more important than the Coke story. But we've already told you that. So if you're watching on X or on YouTube, I don't want you to raise your hand, but I also don't want you to put smack in the chat. If you've got a view of Mexican Coke, please put that in the chat. I'll be reading them all later. If you want to just criticize someone in starkly and bitter personal terms, no smack in the chat. Peace, love, and understanding is something that should animate everything that goes in the chat. And while I don't watch it during the show, I will be reading it later, and I'll be taking names. So please try to be in the spirit of what we do here. Let me bring in my colleague at Two-Way, Ethan Strauss, who, like everybody, my colleagues here, he's one of the most original thinkers, great communicator, and a phenomenal voice for a new generation who's never heard of Ed Grimley. Ethan, welcome in.
I'm not that young, Mark. I've got I got some gray hair over here. Yeah. We just all have the
cultural references, touchstones. If you can, Noah, Michael, find a picture of Ed Grimley. When you find it, slap it up, and let's see if it rings a bell with Ethan Strauss. If I say cheeseburger, 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 does that mean anything to you? Not a thing. See, the older people on here are just freaking out because that's not the SNL of my youth. That's classic SNL. Let me try a couple more. What if I say wild and crazy guy?
Steve Martin. I got that.
Okay, got that one. And what if I say the Bears?
Oh yeah, they're the Chicago Bears fans, great Chicago accent. Yes, and they're all having heart attacks. That one.
Yeah. Can you name a Blues Brothers song?
No, I cannot. Dan Aykroyd, that name pops into my head.
He's one of the Blues Brothers, along with Belushi. Chris Farley was, as people are putting in the chat, Chris Farley did the Chicago thing. All right, Ethan, first of all, before we get to the Epstein story, tell everybody about your program here on the Two-Way platform. Where does it air? What's it all about?
Yeah, well, it airs on Two-Way. Random Offense is the YouTube channel. We explore the connection between sports and culture and politics, and occupy a space hopefully similar to this one, where we try to talk it out. We don't come with preconceptions. We're not trying to be PR for any particular side. We're just trying to get to the heart of the matter. So that's what I do, and it's very nice to be here, Mark.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have you here. And just talk to people a little bit about your history as a sports journalist. Where did it start? And like if we looked at your LinkedIn, what would be the major touchstones along the way?
Sure. And for a weird tease, I do think that my history in sports informs my perspective on the Epstein scandal. I know that sounds crazy. I will
Do
connect
tell.
that.
Do tell.
Oh, so you want me to go
Yeah.
immediately with that?
Yeah.
So I think that you and I have been in halls of power, different power, but some overlapping powers. You obviously in politics and in sports. I'm not talking about the athletes, though they are famous and they are mimetic models or whatever. I'm talking about the owners, people who own teams and tend to be big in business. And so when I hear people having theories about what the elites are like and what the cabals might be, I often come back to the people I've known, and they're just, I don't know what your perspective is, Mark. I'd like to know it. To me, kind of banal, hard to imagine them in some sort of pedophilia cabal. So that obviously doesn't disprove any allegations. And Epstein, he did it. He was convicted of what he did. He clearly has clients. But it's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to make the scandal bigger and the skeleton key for all that's rotting the Western world. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you. Although I will say, Dan Snyder and the Washington Redskins did a pretty good job of apparently running a conspiracy for a while. So they may
Yeah.
be the exception that proves the rule. All right. Not much happened on Epstein today, except this. For yet another day, the president of the United States attacked his supporters. Now, I say the president knows MAGA better than I do. So he must think this is a good idea. But in bitter and personal terms, for another day, the president put up number one, please. The president accused the people who are continuing to ask his government to be more transparent on Epstein to be supporting a hoax. Trump, the Wall Street Journal headline, Trump lashes out at supporters for fixating on Epstein hoax. The president wrote on social media that his supporters were buying into a Democratic narrative. So today, the president was asked in the Oval Office if he truly, as he put in his Truth Social post, was disowning his own supporters because he's lost faith in them. Here's number two, the president today.
You mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling?
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country. If I didn't get elected, all these numbers you're hearing about, they found $25 billion and another 25 is coming in and hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country. And we just got the biggest tax cut in history. We just got the biggest.
So, Ethan, I normally don't like to have locker room conversations, but you and I did just a little bit before we started. I think the body language of the president and his decision to lash out in this way as his supporters suggest he's worried about disclosure. But you don't think so?
Not necessarily that. It's just that Trump acts guilty even when he's perhaps not guilty. He also has that quality, as Eli Lake has said, of being constantly both framed and guilty when he's being persecuted by the media. I guess I'd look at it as he acted this way a lot of the times during Russiagate or whatever we're calling it. He acted this defensively. This, you said nonlinear. I like that characterization of sort of free associative lash out. He acted like somebody who had something to hide. Only when we look at that in retrospect, it does seem to be, well, a hoax to just generalize. So I look at it, I go, he might well have something to hide. I agree with you. He's acting like there's something to hide there. I don't know. It's got that Schrodinger's scandal quality to it currently, where my response and reaction to a lot of it has a lot to do with what's in the box. And there could be something in the box, and there could be something like he just has a friend who's maybe implicated, and that's what's going on, and it's not even about him.
I don't know that it's about him, but I think one friend wouldn't account for this tactic, or I don't know if you call it a tactic or strategy. Tell everybody where you live. You don't live in Washington, D.C.
No, I live in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Are people in the Bay Area talking about this thing in your life?
Maybe just my personal trainer neighbor who has a lot of strange theories and has a lot of, he's one of those. He's one of those voters where he's very quirky. But yes, this is something that Democrats are currently pretending to care about. But deep in the heart of Blue America, it seems as though nobody cares about this in this world, at least.
Yeah. I would love to do like a huge national poll, and I'd love to go to a diner in every state and see qualitatively? Are people talking about this and how? All right, a few more things.
One thing,
Go
I
ahead.
think our colleague Bridget had a really interesting tweet about this,
Yeah.
and this characterized it in a way that framed it for me. Everywhere I go in real life, I'm asking Trump voters I know how much they care about Epstein, and one quote really stood out. People who talk for a living are overestimating how much people who don't talk for a living care about this. Beware of the bubble.
Right. So I think that's the tweet I asked Bridget about. And I said, I bet you, like I'm Karnak, you don't get that reference either.
Oh, I got that.
I bet you that person was over 35. And she said, yeah, young people, everybody I know agrees with this. Young people care more about this than older people. For a variety of reasons we've talked about here. All right, here's three more MAGA world reactions to what's going on, and then we're going to talk more about what the president said today. Number 4, Laura Loomer, who's been a guest on this show. She sat in the very seat, metaphorically, Ethan's in. Laura Loomer did an interview with Politico. I'd love her on this show. Laura, if you're watching, please come on. Laura Loomer delivers searing warning Epstein could consume the Trump presidency. And she wants a special counsel, which we've talked about here, that seems unlikely the president would do that. Here is number 8. This is Speaker Johnson saying that there needs to be transparency. Number 8, please.
We're for transparency. I'm saying the same thing the president is, that I mean, you need to have all of the credible information released for the American people to make their decision. We trust the American people, and I know the president does as well. That's an important principle to abide by here. What they have to do, though, what the president has to do is protect the innocent. I mean, there are, whistleblowers and minors' names involved in things related to Epstein, obviously, and you got to be careful not to release that.
Ethan, you ever cover Capitol Hill?
No, I've never covered Capitol Hill.
Yeah. So one thing people like, if they're a reporter on Capitol Hill, is you can cover the politicians as they walk, because there's no way, if they're walking from their office building, there's the Capitol in the middle, and then there's the House office buildings on one side, the Senate on the other, and the members typically walk from their offices to the Capitol, or they walk from the speaker's office to the floor, and the reporters can chase them like that. I'm all for access to officials, and when I'm on the Hill, I do the same thing, but I just think you never look good talking to reporters while you're walking like that. They should just say, I'll talk to you at the end, and just stop and have like a little mini press conference rather than do that walking thing. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's undignified. Anyway, that's the speaker. Here's Greg Gutfeld. Well, just to clarify, the speaker said, I agree with the president, but obviously he doesn't, because he didn't insult MAGA. He didn't say anybody who's for this is a Democratic dupe. Here is Greg Gutfeld, number 9, please.
Why Trump is good. Even when you're pissed off about Epstein, he's not perfect. But when he's not perfect, he's still good. The problem with all these other things that Dems do, they have to be perfect to work. So it's like capitalism. It can be frustrating and it can be prone to flaws, but it doesn't have to be perfect to make the world work.
So, Ethan, let me just ask you, flip all the cards and ask you the big question. Some people say this is going to rip the party apart and paralyze Trump's presidency. Laura Loomer seems to have that apocalyptic view. Other people think this is going to be gone by the weekend. If those are the polar extremes, where are you on that, thinking about how this is going to go?
I'm more on the weekend side, though I don't think it's going to be gone by the weekend. It seems like the presidency of Trump is more episodic, whereas the election is more like a movie with a climax. I remember Quentin Tarantino, he was complaining about how that's the difference between TVs and movies.
Yep.
Movie, you're going through this denouement, you're going through this climax. It's all about the election. Everything's pushing in that direction. Trump, it feels like, oh, it's the ICE raids episode. Oh, it's the Epstein episode. Oh, it's this episode. It's not linear in that way. And hey, maybe there's a chance. I don't want to be dismissive of it. It has to do with what is actually being hidden and if it comes out. But do I think it's going to consume the whole presidency? Do I think that MAGA world is going to decide that, well, we're so angry about this, we're going to abandon Donald Trump over it? Absent some sort of insane revelation that I can't possibly imagine, it's hard to see that happening. I think we're just going to find a new news cycle.
Yeah. All right. You might be right. I want to play, and again, if you want to be in on the conversation on this and other things, raise your hand. I want to play for you a longer excerpt. It overlaps with what we played before. The full exchange, the president in the Oval Office today. It's pretty long, but I think it's incredibly interesting, and it's part of American history now. So let's play this, and we'll talk about it on the other side. This is number 3, please.
In your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now
I
calling...
lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good
Lost
for
faith
nothing.
is
They've done
crazy thing.
a terrible job. They
crazy,
almost destroyed
unusual.
our country. If I didn't get elected, all these numbers you're hearing about, they found $25 billion and another 25 is coming in and hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country. And we just got the biggest tax cut in history. We just got the biggest regulation cuts in history. There'll be no tax on tips. There'll be no tax on Social Security. There'll be no tax on overtime. There'll be no tax on so many other things. You're allowed to deduct your interest from a car payment. That's never happened before. You borrow interest. You borrow money to buy a car if the car is made in America. And by the way, factories are being built all over America. Car factories, AI factories. But you get a deduction on your interest. Nobody ever thought of that before. It never happened before. And, you know, these are the things that they should be talking about. The big, beautiful bill is one of the greatest pieces of legislation ever in this country. And the Democrats have nothing to combat it. So they say, oh, it's death. Death. Oh, that's good. And then they give it to the fake news, which is you and a few others. And the fake news talks about the bill is death. The bill is actually life. The bill is life, and it saves our country. This bill is incredible. Look at the results already. So we have $16 trillion being invested in our country. And this great gentleman and his family just came in with another billions of dollars. And if he didn't like the country, if he didn't like where we were going, he's very smart. He wouldn't, he'd come, maybe he wouldn't even come. I think maybe he wouldn't even come. You'd save your time. But, because, you know, it's one of those things. But if he didn't like where this country was, he wouldn't be investing billions of dollars in this country. But think of it, $16 trillion, more than has ever been even contemplated before. And we haven't even started yet. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the success. And the Democrats have nothing to show for what they do. They almost destroyed. They allowed 25 million people to come into our country, gang members, jailbirds, from all over the world, not
right.
South
Okay.
America, from all
That's
over
good.
the world.
That's good. Ethan, again, we've seen Donald Trump when he's trying to change direction, particularly for the base, play these cards, say it's a Democratic hoax, say he's disappointed and people don't agree with him. And I know your general posture, which is the view of many smart people I know, is this is not going to consume the presidency. But just as an analyst of humans,
Yes.
does he seem out of sorts to you, or this is
No.
the normal Trump flailing to find the right prescription?
No, I think some people are so Machiavellian you can't really analyze them. I think Trump is unusual in that he's ever so human, that he's sometimes pure id, that people overanalyze. I look at him, I see somebody who's resentful because he feels like he's getting a lot done, and all of a sudden this is the news cycle. I think that's his perspective on it. If I'm just reading him, I would read him as somebody who has expended a tremendous amount of political capital on the deportations. That's something that a lot of people don't think Americans have the stomach for. Even if they're going to say in a poll that they want the illegal immigration to stop, they might not have the stomach for seeing people actually rousted and pulled into cars and everything else to actually kick people out of the country. Trump is doing that. Theoretically, that is the signature issue of the MAGA movement, the thing they've demanded. So that, in addition to these other policies that he has moved across the finish line, I think that he's resentful of his base for focusing on Epstein when he is, in his mind, presented them exactly what they wanted. That's my read, if I just have to take a guess.
Okay. So one more thing on this matter, and then we'll do the Fed and a few other things and take your questions. As I've said and written in public before, I met Donald Trump in 2011 in the context of his speaking at CPAC that year, gave the best speech of any politician at CPAC. And I went on Morning Joe the next day and I talked about how great a speech he was. And I said something like this: you may not take Donald Trump seriously as a presidential candidate, but you should take his ideas seriously, because he was the best received speaker CPAC, and he talked about all the things he talked about when he ran in 2015, 2016, China, Washington, stupid people in Washington, et cetera. And I say, there's another joke from my speech, Ethan. Donald Trump in some ways is a very complicated man, but in some ways he's very simple. If you say nice things about him on television, he likes you. And so he called me up and I started a conversation with him, and I didn't meet with him every day, but I got invited to Trump Tower on occasion. And Trump took my taking him seriously, very seriously. And so between 2011 and 2016, when the rest of 2015, when the rest of the media started taking him seriously, for those 5 years, I got a decent amount of access to him. Not only because, Trump was available to the press in general, but not only because I asked, like other people did, but because I took him seriously. So in 2015, Don Lemon sent this to me today. I totally had forgotten this. I talked to Trump about Jeffrey Epstein. Didn't remember I did, but I did on camera when I worked at Bloomberg. And at CPAC, Bloomberg set up, like some news organizations do, a booth to interview participants in CPAC. And normally you got to book them like long in advance. We want Jeb Bush to stop by at 3:18. But with Trump, I just saw him walking by and I called him in. And you'll see when we roll the clip, he was there with Michael Cohen. And I asked him about a bunch of stuff, which we'll show you a little bit of. But the reason I asked him about Jeffrey Epstein was because of what happened when he gave his speech with Hannity. Do we have that part? I'm looking to see if we have that part. Yeah. Yes. Here's Trump talking to Sean Hannity at CPAC number 6, please.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
So there he is invoking the concept that Hillary, who's, at that point was the Democratic frontrunner, could have problems because of Bill Clinton. So here is my exchange with Donald Trump. And again, we talk about some other stuff first, but I think you'll enjoy it. And you'll see a cameo of Michael Cohen, then Donald Trump's political fixer, in the background. Here is me and Donald Trump and Phil Mattingly, now of CNN, at the CPAC event in the Bloomberg booth. Roll number 5, please. Raise the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem.
What do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So
the Clintons are friends,
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know
You're friendly. You know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play at my clubs.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem. Right now, he's Teflon, and right now, maybe not. But he could end up being a political problem.
That's one question. All right, that was the short version. You missed the long version with the Michael Cohen cameo, but we'll play it some other time. So, Ethan, clearly, this is 2015, much on his mind, the political dangers, at least for Bill Clinton, of the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I'm using you as a guinea pig, putting you a bit on the spot. What do you know about Donald Trump's history with Jeffrey Epstein? We've seen the famous photos and some video of them together, but what do you know? Were they friends? Were they close?
I mean,
What do you know?
I would assume not. I've seen the famous photos. I just think that they were famous people who ran in some similar circles and there was some overlap. But if he had something to hide, it'd be very strange for him to be talking so casually and easy breezy back then with you.
Yeah,
if there was really something there.
So that'd be my reaction if Donald Trump were a normal person. And I had the exact same reaction when I saw it. It's like he's treating this like it's like a weapon, and he doesn't live in a glass house. But Donald Trump, you look at Access Hollywood, like he thinks his glass house is impregnable. He thinks glass house is made of shatterproof glass. So he's fine throwing rocks at other people's glass houses on the assumption that it'll never be a problem for him. All right. Again, raise your hand if you want to get in the conversation. Let's talk about the Fed. The president met with a bunch of House Republicans, and he showed them a letter, it's been reported, about how he's going to fire the Fed chairman. My reporting is that there are senior people in the administration who say it would be horrible to fire the Fed chair. Here is moments ago on Bret Baier's show, John Thune weighing in on what he thinks about the concept of the president firing the Fed chair.
Which one is that one?
New one, the one that we just got on.
Sorry about that. It's a new one. I should have called for it by that way.
President Trump asked House Republicans on Tuesday during a meeting in the Oval whether he should fire the Federal Reserve Chair, Jay Powell. They expressed approval. So as the head of the Senate, Republicans, do you think the president should fire the Fed chair? What do you think that would do?
Well, I think that ultimately the president probably will make that decision based on what he thinks how the markets will react.
And how do you think they would react?
Well, I mean, I think the markets want an independent Federal Reserve. I think they want a central bank that isn't subject to the whims of politics. There is an argument, and a very compelling one, with respect to the policies that the chairman has put out there. And I think that's what the president and many people around the country are responding to. But ultimately, you know, he's going to serve out a term, and there will be a new Fed chairman. So my assumption is, based on what the president said today, that he's not going to do anything about this anytime soon.
All right. So that's John Thune's position. Here's the president today in the Oval Office. This would be number 10, please, talking about that he doesn't plan to fire Powell, despite reports to the contrary. Number 10, please.
There's lots of reports coming into this meeting that you planned on firing Fed Chair Jay Powell. Markets reacted.
Is that right? Those are reports, but they're not true.
So what would be useful to know, are you committed to picking someone from the outside? Are you going to interview individuals that are
so
on the
many
board
people
right
that
now?
want that job. I have people that I've known a long time. They're calling me, begging for the job. You know what you need there? A smart person with common sense, but you need a very smart person for that job. I think it's one of the easiest jobs in government. You show up once a month and you make a statement about where the economy's going, and we're going to raise or lower interest rates. It's probably the easiest job I've ever seen. That's why I'm trying to figure, why does he want to expand and add more people? He's going to add more economists to tell him what to do. But the economists, I was right. All the economists were wrong. They admitted it. They admitted it this morning. Quiet. Go ahead.
All right. A little bit more on this because it's such an important story. Play number 11, please.
Appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. He's doing a little renovation for $2.5 billion of the Fed, building a renovation, and they have a close to $900 million cost overrun, and it's a shame. But the biggest cost overrun is the cost overrun for interest rates, because we should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case. And all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board, too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so, and we'll pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job.
So, Ethan, while we're talking here, while we're doing this program live, Real America's Voice is doing a live phone interview with the President of the United States, and he's talking about Epstein and tariffs, and he's also talking about the Fed chair. Roll that new soundbite of the president talking about the Fed chair.
Mentioned the Fed. Last night, David Malpass, your former World Bank president, was on our show, and he said the Fed needs to be completely reimagined. They're getting in the way of President Trump. They're afraid of economic growth. They try to suppress economic growth. I want to just get your thoughts on what he said about that mentality at the Fed. That's got a 50-year-old mentality.
Well, I think he's right. David was picked by me and did a good job when he was at the Fed. But I think he's 100% right. It's this guy's getting in the way. Think of what, we're talking about costs. He's talking about the cost of tariffs. If he lowered 3 points, if he would lower that, Europe has had 10 lowerings in the last year and a half. 10. We've had none with this guy. None. That puts us at a disadvantage. Now, everything else is so strong, we're bullying through the rates, the high interest rates. The housing market would boom if this, numbskull, he's a numbskull. And if this guy would, can you imagine, we're talking about housing, he's building a building, he's building an addition, I guess for more people to tell him what to do, and he's always wrong. They had 71 different geniuses that they interviewed and that were put up. You probably saw that. I
did.
And with predictions. And the only one that got it right was me and one other person. 69 were wrong. This guy got it wrong, and he wants to put in thousands of additional people to tell him what to say. I mean, how many people do you need? Read a newspaper and make your own decision, right?
All right, Ethan,
Thousands of people
two
are
questions.
working.
You can cut out of this. Two questions. One is, do they use the word numbskull in the Strauss household when you were growing up?
No, I think it needs to get brought back. I enjoyed seeing that.
Numbskull. It's a good
was
word.
fun.
It's a good word. What do you make of the president's seeming ambivalence maybe about firing the Fed chair? Because some days he talks about like he's going to do it and some days not.
Yeah, generally when you want to do something, you just do it. You don't threaten a lot. I remember reading that in the Gavin de Becker book on violence, how the scary people are the people who don't threaten. The people who threaten, well, they're usually doing that because they feel impotent in some way. I think he fears the market consequences. I'm not saying he won't fire him, but I think he fears the consequences. Now, what's interesting to me as a non-economist or investment banker is why Powell is so well thought of and why so many people have trepidation over a switch, because I do believe Trump on this idea that there are probably plenty of qualified people who would want the job. Is this more about Powell's esteem that he's held in, or is it more about the fear of Trump just having the reins of the economy all to himself?
Well, very well framed. Right now, I believe that Scott Bessent might be the Fed chair and Kevin Hassett might be, but I'm leaning more towards door number 3. And to address the point you raised, I think the economic world, the markets, they like Powell because he's a known quantity and he's pretty stable and they want stable, predictable. If Trump fires him or forces him out, which is I think what they're trying to do now, that's my sense, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they have a new name because the Fed, they wouldn't like the uncertainty of nobody in that job. One more topic, and then we're going to get to your question. So please raise your hand, join the others who already have. Ethan, did you already see this Obama's video? Did you already see this?
Saw people talking about it. I haven't seen the clip about their marriage.
All right, so
I'm fascinated.
So the former first lady has her podcast she does with her brother, Craig Robinson, who, as you know, is a former, maybe current. Is he still coach college basketball?
I don't know. I just know he's got that track record.
Yeah, he coached at Princeton, I think. I think he coached at Princeton. Maybe he was an assistant somewhere else. Anyway, she and her brother have a podcast, and as you know, Oregon. But he used to coach at Princeton, or did he go to Princeton? Maybe he went to Princeton.
I think he went to Princeton.
All right, coaches at Oregon. Oregon, they're in the Pac-10, right? That's a legit program.
I mean, it's so much has happened. There's no Pac anymore. It got blown up.
The leagues are all gone. Is Oregon State the Mighty Ducks, which is or the Ducks?
They are the Ducks. The Oregon is the Ducks.
And what's
Oregon State is the Beavers, I believe.
The Beavers. There you go. All right. Anyway, Miss Obama brought on her husband, and there's been long-running speculation, including in some of the establishment press, about the prospect that their marriage is a little maybe on the rocks. And she's addressed it a little bit, but never as on the nose as they did today on the podcast. Please roll number 19.
I am low. Look at you.
Wait, you guys like each other?
Oh yeah, really? Huh?
That's so
the
nice.
rumor mill. It's my husband, y'all.
She took me back.
Now don't start.
I can't.
It was touch and go for a while.
It's so nice to have you both in the same room
I
together.
I know, because when we aren't, folks think we're divorced.
Let me tell you. First of all, see, I'm in Wichita, Kansas for Austin's tournament. And you know, this podcast has made me quite popular.
You're big shot.
Famous.
And people come up to me all the time. This woman came up to me and she was so nice. She was like, "Can I have a picture?" Yeah. And then, so you know how you get the side hug? And she's like, "What did he do?"
And you knew she was going to say what he did.
And I was like,
it wasn't like, what happened to him?
That is so
It was like,
terrible.
how'd he mess up?
How'd he mess up? And I said, "Well, what makes you think he messed up? Why couldn't it have been
why
her?"
did you just say no one messed up?
Well, because I wanted to keep this conversation going so that I could tell you about it.
Oh, Lord.
I was like, what? And she's like, "He did something, didn't he?" I was like, don't worry, everything's fine. And let me tell you, she was so happy, you would have thought I gave her a Christmas gift.
These are the kinds of things that I just miss, right? So I don't even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me and I'm all like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There hasn't been one moment in our marriage where I thought about quitting my man. And we've had some really hard times, but we have had a lot of fun times, a lot of adventures, and I have become a better person because of the man I'm married to.
Okay, don't make me cry now. Right at the beginning of the show.
Oh, that's sweet.
Don't let me start tearing up now.
And welcome to IMO.
Welcome to IMO. Get you all teared up. See, but this is why I can't talk. See, you can take the hard stuff, but when I start talking about the sweet stuff, you're like, stop, no, I can't do it.
No, I love it. I'm enjoying it.
But thank you, honey, for being on our show. Thanks for making the time. We got, as
you guys
Craig
are doing
said, we
good.
got a great.
Of course, I've been listening.
Yeah. What? Any
Love it.
tips? Any
observations? Craig can tighten up a little bit. You're doing great.
Thanks, honey.
And
that's why we're married for.
All right, Ethan, I'm going to go multiple choice, but have a fill in the blank. Charming, A, charming, B, deliberate, C, cringe, D, other.
C, which is odd because Obama is charming and has charisma, but the whole thing is somehow cringe. It's
Why is
very
it?
odd.
Tell me why it's cringe.
I think because it's unconvincing. I don't think we want people to perform that their marriage is okay. Maybe we want people to perform their marriage, but not that their marriage is okay. And don't worry, we're not getting divorced. And by the way, we're sitting on opposite ends of this very large table while trying to convince you of this. It's just, I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, a lot of things with it are interesting. It's interesting that Obama is charismatic, but hasn't gotten his podcast to really resonate with people. And it's interesting that people are invested in their marriage in a way that I don't think they are with the other political marriages. And therefore they feel the need to speak about it and maintain it. There's a lot there.
There is a lot there. It's a very compelling piece of video, which will be chewed over for the rest of human civilization. And let's do that now. Bring folks in. You can ask about the Obamas, or you can ask about Jeffrey Epstein, or if you want Ethan to tell you the Vegas odds on Dodgers, Lakers, or whoever's playing tonight, you can. Carly, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Tell folks who don't know after you unmute where you are and your question for the great Ethan Strauss. First, you got to unmute, Carly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm on a bus. That's where I am.
All right. Where are you headed?
Home from work.
Okay. Tell us what's on your mind. And where are you? Where is the bus?
So it's right now in Montclair, New Jersey.
Montclair, New Jersey. All right. A lot of New York Yankees, I think, live in Montclair. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
We're Yankees fans, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. What's on your mind, Carl?
You know what's on my mind? It's to know. Have you ever seen on all your journalistic career so much news happening at the same time? I'm a middle-aged woman. I'm like besides myself. I just don't know. What's your opinion? Is this normal? Is it real? Sometimes I need to pinch myself.
The amount
what do you guys
of
think?
the amount of news. Okay.
Enlighten me.
Yeah, good question. I'm going to mute you just because the bus is a little loud. Ethan, what do you think? Are we in a news firestorm here?
Yeah.
Or?
Oh,
Yeah?
definitely. And you forget sometimes how much news there was. If you read any book about the 1960s that goes month to month, it's insane what was happening back then. But yeah, chefs talk about overfitting the pan with certain dishes, certain ingredients. I feel that way all the time. I feel like the pan is overfit and we can't even figure out what the story of the day is because there are multiple competing stories. And then we go on with the next one. It's why, Mark, I think that he's going to survive Epstein. Trump is there's just going to be another thing. It just keeps going faster and faster and faster. It feels like it's happening beyond our capacity to evolve to really take it all in.
Interesting. Carly, thank you for that. Get home safely. Is the same true in sports? Is there also an overload of sports news or no?
No, we're in the dog days right now. We are sports fans in my life, other journalists. They feel they're like an alcoholic licking the bottom of the barroom floor looking for anything.
Because all we have is baseball.
All we have is baseball, and baseball is not a national sport. It's not generative in that way. So the national sports conversation is bereft, while the political conversation has an abundance of news.
Who's favored to win the World Series now?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Dodgers look good. I have no. I see baseball, not the national sport, so I'm less aware than say for football.
The correct answer is always the Red Sox. Evan, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Tell us where you are. What's on your mind for Ethan?
Hi, Mark. I'm in Long Island. I guess a couple things. One is I honestly don't understand the fascination about the Obamas. So, a couple things. Question: have you guys ever read the book New Cold Wars by David Sanger?
No.
Nope. I know David, but I've never read his book.
It's a fascinating book, maybe because it kind of endorsed my feeling, but it talks about the central role of chips in all economic decisions.
Yeah.
And I think it's a phenomenal filter. It's truly bipartisan. Actually.
Yeah.
It gives Biden more credit than he gets in most places, but it's a truly brilliant book, and it's not insipid to read through. It's fascinating, so I would recommend it.
All right, we'll put it on the list.
So, in talking about the Fed chair, everything in finance, you know, the old joke: you ask 10 economists a yes or no question, you get 10 different answers.
Yeah, my version is you ask 10, you get 11 different answers. But
that's a better answer than mine.
Yeah.
That said, you will get 10 answers, 10 economists agreeing to one thing: the bond market is the best indicator of all. And if you want to say that you are going to reduce interest rates 3%, which is conceptually wonderful, then the yield curve is going to go like that. And now your long-term yields are going to go through the roof. Sorry. And then you're going to have your housing market crash because obviously your interest rates are tagged to the 30-year bond, right? So it's fallacious. And my view is Trump saw the reaction of the bond market, which is easy for anyone to see. And he said, well, maybe I'm not going to, I fired him at 9:15, but when the reaction came at 11:15, I got to change my mind, which, by the way, is smart politics.
Yeah. Evan, do you know James Carville's famous quote about the bond market?
I probably do, but I don't remember.
Right.
I love Carville.
Yeah. So this was, he didn't know much about government when Clinton won. He'd worked for elected officials, but no one had ever thought he'd go into government. And I remember the day after the election, when Clinton won in Little Rock, James was walking down the street and a bunch of reporters saw him and they said, "Are you going to take a job in the government?" And James laughed uproariously. It's the silliest notion ever heard. But he had to learn a little bit about government because he's working as a consultant to the President of the United States. And he was amazed at how so many decisions made by the president and his economic advisors were based on being afraid of the bond market and wanting to kowtow to the demands of the bond market. So James said, I used to think that if there were reincarnation, I wanted to come back as the president or the Pope or as a 400 baseball hitter. But now I would like to come back as the bond market. You can intimidate everybody.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it'll crush equities. But my last comment, and I promise, and thank you for the time. It's very kind of you.
Thank you.
Whose constituency, because we were having this conversation last night, whose constituency would whine more if the cap on FICA were eliminated? So you're making $300,000 a year. Now you're paying Social Security on everything above $170,000.
Right.
Which party would be whining more? Because that would make a heck of an improvement on the sustainability of Social Security.
Right. Well, if the parties didn't demagogue it, I think probably, as long as you didn't do it for current retirees and beneficiaries, if you did it for people starting like in their 30s or 40s even, you'd achieve a much of the fiscal goal, but you'd have a better political chance of passing it. I think if both parties held hands together, I think they'd be equally fine with it. It's a sensible thing. It's just they're afraid to do anything to mess with the program. So I don't know. Like, I think people would support it if it were framed correctly and if it was bipartisan.
I think a lot of people who are in that income bracket are okay. I don't mind paying. I don't mind paying it if I'm going to help the bigger cast, help the people.
As long as it's only for future retirees, future beneficiaries, those people aren't getting their money now. Ethan, you're never getting Social Security, buddy.
That's what people tell me.
Going to be gone. You're paying into it like a dupe. You're paying into it, but you're never
getting much choice.
Well, yeah, but that's the way to sell it. And it's unfortunate that to me, it's unfortunate that President Trump has colluded with the Democrats to say, well, we're never going to touch it because we don't want to mess with the program. And again, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world because not touching it is more than messing with the program. It's consigning it to not be there for when Ethan is ready to start putting up his feet and collecting his benefits.
Well, the ratio went of contributors, I think, when it was started, of 14 contributors for one recipient.
Yeah.
And I think it's now 2 to 1.
Yeah, it's switched out in a pretty perilous way.
Thanks again. Thank
Evan,
you.
thank you for coming on. Reed, you shut your camera off right before I was going to call on you. You want to turn it back on? I'll give you a second. If not, we'll bring Reed back later in case he turns his camera back on. Let's bring in Lance. Lance, welcome in. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of making the acquaintance of Ethan and you. So tell everybody, including Ethan, where you live and what's on your mind.
Okay, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. What's on my mind tonight is that I'm sorry, DeMarcus, sometimes I get so in tune in your conversations that I kind of lose track of my own thoughts.
All right, take your time.
First, I have a request to you, Mr. Halpern. Could you please do something about a report on the bill, because I'm having a difficult, specifically related to healthcare, because I'm really having a hard time finding specific factual information about that, and I've encountered bias from both sides. So I would like to have that. Also, 2 medical ideas, like I think 2 presentations you could do, one on long COVID and one on hay fever.
Long COVID and hay fever. Those are 2 topics near and dear to my heart. I'll add them to the to-do list.
Okay.
Lance, thank you for that. Did you want to ask Ethan anything while you're here? You don't have to.
It's okay if you don't.
He's not paid. He's not paid by the answer.
I won't be offended. It's okay.
Well, I will say this, that I am concerned about the country right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
In regards to the Epstein thing, because a lot of people are getting riled up over this, and we always condemn political violence, but we should keep our eye out on that. We should, be prepared, and let's pray that calm heads prevail.
Well said, Lance.
I do think that transparency is the best, but I think the best, don't call people names and do stuff like that, because that has the effect of radicalizing people. Just don't do it.
Amen, and well said, Lance. Thank you.
Peace, love, and understanding.
Yeah, Ethan, let me ask you about this concept of political violence. I saw a list the other day of some recent acts, all of which I was familiar with, but put together in one list. Was quite striking. Violence, sometimes fatal violence. Are you in the camp that says the country's like a powder keg, and we're one, Sir Duke Ferdinand, whatever, away from a national thing, or really that's not the case?
I don't feel that way, but I do think, and I'm somebody who advocates for free speech, but I do think that people glibly use incendiary rhetoric without regard to how it can inspire violence. I was looking back at when Biden was trying to get the Major League Baseball to move the All-Star game. It finally did happen in Atlanta, but in 2021, the Democratic Party and people in the media pressured them, and they were saying that it was the new voting laws in Georgia were Jim Crow on steroids. And I was just looking at that, and I was thinking, if you are somebody who is maybe not adroit emotionally and you take something like that literally, that's the sort of thing that can inspire you to act crazy. And people do that obviously from both sides, but there's just this hysteria, this hysterical language, because you're trying to capture people's attention in the aforementioned environment we're talking about, where the pan is overfit, we've got too much noise. So to cut through, there's a lot of just trying to inspire the maximum emotional response. And I do worry that that's going to lead to people doing some of these violent acts. I don't think the country's a powder keg, but I just think that sometimes people in positions of influence are acting irresponsibly with their language, and it can lead to things.
If I give you $200 million and I said, you got to spend it on trying to address that problem, what would you spend it on?
Oh my God. I mean, how the hell can you address that problem? I'm sorry for not having
I'm giving you a big budget. Don't have to
I mean,
spend
it's a
you don't have to
fiendish
spend
problem.
it all. I know, but $200 million ain't nothing. Like, what?
No,
I'm not
no.
saying solve it, but what would put us on the path?
Wait, I solved it. Increase two-ways budget by $200 million.
Exactly.
I think
More
is the
two ways.
solution. I mean,
I'll tell you an idea we talked about the other day, a 24-hour two-way where it's always on. And we were talking about it in the concept of Epstein, right? Where like you would take a shift and I take a shift and Moynihan would take a shift, where it's just a nonstop like chat group room about Epstein. But then I said, what if we did it for this thing? What if we did it to say, whenever there was something incendiary going on, there's a peace, love, and understanding conversation that's just available. So anybody can come in and kind of detox away from X and away from cable news. So that'd be good. I don't know. We could probably do it for 6 weeks for 200 million.
That would be good, but there's a problem there.
We need a green room and
I mean, I support
omelet bar. Anyway, what's the problem?
I support this, but the problem is, and I think some people might dispute this, maybe people in this area around me might dispute this because I'm deep in blue world.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more of an appetite for that in red world. There's more of an appetite for hashing it out and having the conversation.
Yeah.
I was looking at that footage. It was at Turning Point where they had a debate with Dave Smith and I'm drawing a blank on Josh Hammer about Israel. And I didn't love everything in the debate, and I don't agree with Dave Smith's perspective, but I thought there's a capaciousness there on the right where they will have it out on an issue of controversy and have a debate. I don't really see that happening on the left. And this is reflected in survey data that there's more of a moral disgust right now. There's more of a, I won't date that person, or that's not a good person. That person is evil. And if that's the mentality, I don't know how you can bring everybody in. I think thankfully you have people from both sides on this program, but it does get tilted. Any sort of realm right now of open debate seems to tilt to the right these days, does it not?
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this today, and I'm going to speak trepidatiously. Is that a word, or did you say
tonight
with trepidation? I think what you said is absolutely true, and it's not denigrating the left, at least not entirely. There's some good reasons for it. There is an aggressiveness on the part of MAGA that has caused some people on the left to say they don't want to be in the national town square with this kind of rhetoric, and I think that some of them are really disillusioned by a country in which Donald Trump, someone they think is patently unqualified as president. But there's also, and again, I'm sure some people will hate my saying this, there's also say the first time without winning the popular vote. But how'd that happen? But instead, a lot of people on the left just don't want to. She says, she shares sometimes the reaction she gets. It's just, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's kind of stunning to me and disappointing.
Yeah, it's disappointing to me too. I like debate. I want people to awaken something in me or tell me something that I didn't expect or see something from their perspective. And so much, and this is especially true in journo world, which is more on the left side, is you're disgusting the second that you've said something that is out of alignment with my suite of issues. I prefer to look at people as a buffet. I think they see people as a reservoir. If something's tainted in the reservoir, it's all tainted. We cannot go there. We cannot drink from there. I look at it as I don't have to agree with everybody I talk to. I like this. I like God, what's even good in a buffet these days? The carving station. Yeah, the carving station. I'm down with that. Not so much with the salad that has the black olives in it. But unfortunately, a lot of people, especially on the left, they just don't see public figures in that way. And their friends, sadly.
You mentioned the black olives. Can you explain to me raw olives in a salad? I mean, raw onions. I don't understand.
Raw onions can cut through and it can be a powerful flavor. And I was impressed when I was in Israel when I saw people eating hummus that way. They were dipping raw onions into the hummus. And I went, you know what? That's a different palate. That's not something I grew up with, but I respect it.
Haley is nodding because she's seen that. She might even like it. I think it's bizarre. We've got a clip coming up in a moment. You'll tell me when it's ready of Republican and Democratic members of Congress who often argue and fight online, apparently yelling at each other. We'll get that in just a second. While we wait for that, tell everybody again, Ethan, where they can watch your show. First of all, explain the name of your show. What is it? Where does it come from?
My show is called Random Offense. I took it from Andre Iguodala, he's going to be a Hall of Famer for the Golden State Warriors and a quirky, interesting guy. And he said the hardest offense to stop was random offense. Just when something chaotic happened out there, there wasn't necessarily a defense to cope with it. So I've always liked that phrase. I've always liked that concept. I think it really plays into the improvisational nature of what you do, Mark, and why you've been so unstoppable. And yeah, Random Offense on YouTube, Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Please, all of you, the brilliant people here, very impressed with the questions. Stop by, give us some fodder. We'd love to have you.
Checking out. You can join Ethan live at 4 on Fridays, 4 Eastern, or you can watch, of course, on demand. But I recommend it to you. Ethan he's a generational talent. I say that with no hyperbole. All right. Congressman Derek Van Orden is a Republican from Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District. He's a Navy SEAL veteran. And Mark Pocan is also from Wisconsin. He's a Democrat. Here they are today, hurling insults at each other outside the Capitol. Roll that, please.
That's the real problem.
Anything else? There he is.
Old buddy, Derek Van Orden. You can put that on the news.
Was that on me? No, it's the nicest thing you did to me all day.
Hey, Derek. Classy as always, man. We love it. Thank you.
Have you lost your mind?
Yeah, right.
You know, people read the stuff.
I saw your drunken tweet at 1:30 in the morning last night.
No, I got done with the
interesting.
NDA.
Oh, I
Let's
got
finish
you.
up. Listen, Mark,
Let's
you've got
finish
a
up, Rich.
problem, and I don't know what it is, but I encourage you to seek mental health counseling. It's absolutely disgusting.
Derek, why don't you debate me? Why are you so afraid to debate anyone here? We could do this in the media. Why don't you want to debate
So-
the big, beautiful
So
bill?
Mark
Why are you
Pocan
afraid
has never
to
had a
have
job
a debate
in his
on the
entire
bill?
life other than politics, and he doesn't understand it.
I've owned a small business for 37 years. Tony, you've owned a
Yes,
small
and
business.
he-
That's a little work, isn't
and
it?
he funnels over $500,000 a year of his campaign money to buy signs from his company.
Okay, look that up. Oh my God, are you drinking right now, Derek? That's the real question. All right.
All right. Ethan, what did you think of that?
I mean, the first takeaway was that the visages of the two men were remarkably similar for them to be engaged in such conflict. It reminded me of how you have these intense college rivalries between State and you don't know anything about them, but they absolutely despise each other. Even if from a distance, they just seem completely the same. It's not good, but I wonder if people prefer it, Mark. I wonder if people prefer it to the other thing that they suspect about politics, which is that these guys behind the scenes are friendly and they're just play acting the acrimony. What do you think?
No, that seemed genuine to me. And again, they fight on Twitter all the time. And when you accuse another member of Congress of being a drunk, I think it's not fun in games when that happens.
No. Well, I think this might speak to what we were talking about earlier about, is it a powder keg? I do think social media inflames. This is something that has come up in inner city crime, that a lot of murders, sadly, they start on social media, and that's where the beef starts, and then it escalates. Somebody comes to somebody's house and they shoot them, which is horrifying. And I think you have seen something like that in politics, not with violence, but just the ability to talk to each other online constantly. You might have predicted before this technology was invented that it would bring people together, but it very much seems to be the opposite, unfortunately.
But two ways trying the opposite tack for the tech. All right, a few things. In 23 hours, this show will be on again. And by blessed coincidence, one of our guests will be Mark Bednar, who used to work for the Speaker of the House of Representatives and is from Wisconsin. So he'll maybe decode some of that for us. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow morning, John and Dan on the morning meeting. And then Fridays, every Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, please don't miss Ethan's program, Random Offense, or as I like to call it, Random Offense. But it's called Random Offense. Be there for that. Right now, we're going to clear the way, 7 Eastern time. Our friend Bridget Fedesi is going to be on, and her episode of Real America is about moolah, money, cash, money. Can't get enough of it. You know, the song Money is one of just a handful of songs recorded by both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Ethan, can you name another?
Pink Floyd.
Incorrect.
Damn it.
The Beatles and the Rolling Stones recorded several songs. Money's one. I Want to Be Your Man is another. Tomorrow night we'll reveal the rest. Ethan, couldn't be more grateful to you for making time. Love having you on Two Way. Grateful to you always, my man. as Michelle called her husband. My man. Thank you. Thank you all for watching. Turn over to Bridget right now, and I'll see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Watch Ethan on Friday. Have a great night.